Let's talk about tea, the British obsession that changed the world. It all started with India, where the British East India Company, or EIC, landed in the 1600s. They came for spices but soon realized India had everything Europe wanted. The EIC set up trading posts, charmed local rulers, and slowly took over more than just trade. What began as business turned into empire building. Tea became Britain's national drink, and Indian tea, Assam, Darjeeling, was the gold standard. The EIC didn't just trade tea, they started producing it on massive plantations, often on seized land. This wasn't just about a beverage anymore, it was about control and profit. India became the world's biggest tea plantation, but the wealth flowed mostly to Britain. The EIC embedded itself in India's economy and politics, setting the stage for centuries of exploitation. What looked like a simple trade deal became a one-sided relationship. The British thirst for tea fueled a system that drained India's resources. The story of tea is really the story of how an empire was brewed, and for India, it was the start of a long, bitter aftertaste, all over a cup of tea. The EIC wasn't just selling tea, they became rulers with their own army. After the Battle of Plassey in 1757, they took over Bengal and started collecting taxes. Imagine a company running your country and handling your taxes. India's wealth was siphoned off, industries like textiles declined, and British goods flooded the market. The EIC's rule was harsh, leading to famines and widespread resentment. Indian soldiers, or sepoys, formed the backbone of the EIC's private army, but even they rebelled when forced to use rifle cartridges greased with animal fat, offensive to both Hindus and Muslims. This sparked the 1857 Sepoy Mutiny, or First War of Independence. It wasn't just about cartridges, it was years of exploitation boiling over. The rebellion was fierce, shaking the EIC to its core. The British responded brutally, but the writing was on the wall. The EIC's days as India's corporate landlord were numbered. The people had shown they wouldn't be ruled forever. The era of company rule was ending. India was ready for change. The seeds of independence had been sown. The world's first corporate empire was about to collapse, and India was waking up. After the 1857 uprising, the British Crown took direct control. No more EIC. Queen Victoria promised equality and freedom, but exploitation continued. Indian nationalism began to rise, with the Indian National Congress, INC, forming in 1885. At first the INC politely asked for more representation and rights, but as famines and discrimination persisted, frustration grew. Leaders like Bal Gangadhar Tilak demanded self-rule, Swaraj, as a birthright. The polite request turned into a real freedom movement. The 1905 partition of Bengal, seen as a divide-and-rule tactic, sparked massive protests. The Swadeshi movement encouraged boycotting British goods and supporting Indian products. Nationalist voices grew louder, demanding complete independence. Purna Swaraj. The era of polite petitions was over. India was finding its voice. The freedom movement was gaining momentum. The British grip was slipping. The call for independence was echoing across the land. Enter Gandhi, the man who made non-violent resistance a national force. After fighting discrimination in South Africa, he returned to India in 1915 and inspired millions. Gandhi's Satyagraha, Truth Force, turned peaceful protest into a weapon against the British. Movements like non-cooperation and the Salt March mobilized the masses. Gandhi showed you could fight an empire with peace, not violence. Jawaharlal Nehru, his close ally, brought a modern global vision for India's future. Nehru wanted not just independence, but a new, progressive nation. Both spent years in jail for the cause. Then there was Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a brilliant lawyer who once championed Hindu-Muslim unity. Over time, Jinnah grew concerned about Muslim rights in a Hindu-majority India. He led the Muslim League, first seeking safeguards, then a separate state, Pakistan. 3 leaders, 3 visions, unity, independence, and identity. Their differences set the stage for the next big drama. The freedom movement was now a complex struggle. The dream of a united India was under threat. The stakes had never been higher, the world was watching, and history was about to change. Why did partition happen? It's complicated. British divide-and-rule policies deepened Hindu-Muslim divisions. The Muslim League, led by Jinnah, pushed for Pakistan, arguing Hindus and Muslims were 2 nations. The Congress, led by Gandhi and Nehru, wanted a united, secular India. World War II weakened Britain. They needed India's support, but Indians wanted independence. The Quit India movement in 1942 saw Congress leaders jailed, while the Muslim League gained ground. After the war, Britain was ready to leave, fast. The cabinet mission tried to keep India united with a federal plan, but mistrust and disagreements doomed it. Both sides initially agreed, but the plan collapsed over provincial groupings. Tensions soared and negotiations broke down. The dream of a united India faded. The stage was set for partition. Two nations, two futures. The subcontinent was about to be split. The consequences would be massive. Independence was coming, but at a huge cost. The world held its breath. With talks failing and violence rising, Britain decided to split India fast. Lord Mountbatten, the last viceroy, rushed independence from 1948 to August 1947. Borders had to be drawn for Punjab and Bengal. Enter Sir Cyril Radcliffe, who'd never been to India. He had 5 weeks to divide millions of lives with a pen. The Radcliffe line cut through villages, families, and communities. The announcement came at the last minute. People didn't know which country they'd be in. Chaos erupted. Millions fled their homes, desperate for safety. Communal violence exploded. Riots, massacres, abductions. It became one of the largest, bloodiest migrations in history. Independence arrived. Pakistan on August 14th, India on August 15th, 1947. There were celebrations, but also heartbreak. Nehru's Tryst with Destiny speech marked freedom, but millions suffered. Families were torn apart, homes lost, lives shattered. The British left, leaving two nations to deal with the aftermath. Freedom was born in agony. The solution created new problems. The lines on the map unleashed a human catastrophe. Partition's trauma would echo for generations. The cost of independence was staggering. The world watched as history was rewritten in blood. Partition displaced up to 20 million people and killed up to 2 million. The trauma didn't end. It's been passed down for generations. India and Pakistan had to build new nations while handling a massive refugee crisis. Scarcity, instability, and the unresolved issue of Kashmir marked the early years. Partition's legacy still shapes both countries, fueling wars, suspicion, and a militarized border. Kashmir remains a flashpoint, and the events of 1947 still dominate politics and identity. The world feels the impact: two nuclear powers, one unresolved past. The lines Radcliffe drew still define geopolitics. Art, literature, and personal stories are haunted by partition. Understanding this history is key to understanding South Asia today. It's a story of freedom, but also a warning about the cost of division. Decisions made in distant rooms changed millions of lives forever. The craving for tea ended up redrawing the world map. The echoes of 1947 are still with us. And that's how a cup of tea changed history.